Heavy Storm Shadow is an action roguelike inspired by the Survivor style games where you play as one of 4 main characters and pilot a mech to take on the hordes of enemies, collecting upgrades as you level. If you've played any of these games before, you should really have a decent idea of what to expect from the gameplay loop. However, in my opinion, Heavy Storm Shadow isn't quite ready for a 1.0 release. There are too many issues holding the game back from feeling like a complete game. Let's first talk about the positives though. The core gameplay loop here is fun and it holds a lot of potential. Movements feel smooth, responsive, weapons and abilities can combine in interesting character builds, and there is a decent amount of upgrades for you to consider between your runs for meta progression. The chip customization system, for example, here is quite well implemented. Here you have 5 chip slots with 10 total energy capacity. This allows you to mix and match lower cost chips or to go for 2 expensive ones that cost 5 energy each. There are some interesting chip choices here that really allow you to customize your mech for each run depending on what you're trying to achieve. Some of the abilities in game here are just downright fun as hell to play. Special mention goes to Negative Ray. Keep your eyes on the channel for an upcoming video where we break the game with this ability. The ray allows you to summon a huge Kamehameha beam as you're dashing forward, allowing you to quickly clear out an area in front of you. Or of course, there is the barge, which allows you to bonk straight into enemies for big damage. Not all of the abilities are amazing, of course, but there are enough strong ones here and interesting choices to make building your character feel somewhat meaningful during a run. The other progression element here includes leveling up your characters to level 5, unlocking each of the 5 main weapons, and to use the meta currency to upgrade the passive skill trees. There are 3 skill trees here. It won't really take you that long to max these out. They are mostly passive effects such as more damage and health, so these upgrades could be a little bit more interesting. Some of them are okay though. Special mention here goes to the soundtrack. There aren't many games these days that feature a guitar-centric soundtrack, and I was really jamming out to this one while I was playing. That's awesome. However, maybe just a few less pinch harmonics next time. That does lead us here into the negatives. Unfortunately, there are a few. First and foremost, the game just does not run well. The frame rate will drop any time the screen fills up with enemies or enough special effects are going on at the same time. The optimization here is just not great. And if you have a look at the Steam page, there actually appears to be a lot of feedback regarding performance here, so even if you have a beefy rig, you might still encounter some issues. They have added a couple of graphics options here in one of the recent patches that they said might help alleviate some of these performance issues. However, I did fiddle with these and it didn't really change my experience all that much. Second here is the UI and controller support. While there is controller support that works okay during the moment-to-moment gameplay, when you're navigating menus, it will bug out pretty often, and for some reason, I'm not allowed to press down on the ability selection screen here to re-roll my choice. I have to manually keep switching between mouse and gamepad. This is really annoying, as controller support in the menus is a basic feature, and there really isn't any excuse for it to not to work properly like this. To this end, the UI has actually got frozen on me mid-game twice now, as I was attempting to use the mouse to select something because it wouldn't let me use the gamepad. Not very nice. Third here is balance. This game is just not well balanced. There are some abilities that are complete trash, and others that can almost single-handedly carry you to victory. What's even more confusing here is that the developers released a day 1 patch to nerf the enemy spawn rate and enemy move speed due to early feedback they were receiving. This, however, has made the game incredibly easy, especially once you have some chips and upgraded skill trees. It's nearly impossible to die on the harder difficulty levels on some builds once you're leveled up. This feels like such an overreaction as the game hadn't been out for a full 48 hours before these changes were even made. And finally here, there just really is not enough content. There are 3 levels, with 2 currencies, one to unlock chips and the other to unlock the passive tree. That's all there is. The levels do not feature any additional sub-objectives or hidden bosses, or really anything else that makes them that interesting. The most unique thing here is a difficulty modifier that adds different weather effects to your run. This can be neat, it doesn't really change much or add to the overall package. Okay, so what's the overall takeaway here? This game feels like an early access release, but was released into 1.0 instead. Don't get me wrong, I don't dislike the game. The gameplay loop can be really fun at times, and there are some interesting abilities and customization choices. However, it just feels underbaked. I can forgive some performance issues, but the lack of content combined with the lack of polish here, well, you might want to consider waiting on this one until there are some more meaningful updates. However, the game is less than $10 on Steam, so it's not exactly going to waste your life savings if you want to check it out. So I'll leave that one up to you. And that's the review. Thanks so much for checking out the channel. If you found the review helpful, consider hitting like and subscribe to help the channel grow. And with that, I hope you all have a fantastic day.